Good evening, and welcome to the 125th commencement exercise of Enfield High School as we honor our graduates of the class of 2017. My name is Alessia Manzi, and I am co-class president along with Mr. Jonathan Lapointe. Both Jonathan and I will be working together to facilitate this graduation. Carrying the American flag is Abigail Bosco, who is joining the U.S. Navy. Carrying the state flag is Sierra Centrella, who is also entering the U.S. Navy. They are led by Lieutenant Colonel Richard Fairley, our United States Air Force Academy Liaison Officer. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I now invite seniors Christine Perdomo, Rihanna Naroda, and Monique Marcano to come forward to sing the national anthem.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the
Hoist the colors. Country thanks you for your choice to serve. Dismissed.
Tonight is a joyful celebration in which we recognize the accomplishments of our graduating class. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for our students. I ask your cooperation so that we can make this a truly dignified ceremony for the class of 2017. Please remain in your seats for the entire program so that you don't obstruct someone's view. Thank you.
Before we continue with the program, I would like to take this opportunity to recognize a few people who have joined us here this evening. Mr. Thomas Serrard, Chairperson of the Enfield Board of Education, Mr. Walter Cruzel, Vice Chairman of the Enfield Board of Education, Mrs. Tina LeBlanc, Secretary. Board of Education members include Mr. Vincent Grady, Mr. Timothy Neville, Mrs. Stacy Thurston, Mrs. Lori Ungeyer, Mr. Richard Renier, Miss Charlotte Riley, Mayor Scott Copen, Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Jeffrey Schuman, Deputy Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Christopher Drezick, Chief Academic Officer, Ms. Michelle Middleton, Chief Information Officer, Mr. Guy Barassa, Chief Personnel Officer, Mr. John Kosha, K-12 Humanities Coordinator, Mrs. Megan Burr, K-12 STEAM Mathematics and Computer Education Coordinator, Dr. Carrie Wiley, K-12 STEAM Science and Technology Education Coordinator, Mr. John Daig, Principal, Mr. Andrew Longy, Assistant Principals, Mr. Connell Clark, Ms. Erin Clark, 12th grade Dean, Mr. John Coleman, Class of 2017 Advisors, Mrs. Bridget Moriarty, Mrs. Mary Triculo, members of the Enfield High School faculty, valedictorian of the Class of 2017, Mr. Alex Salisbury, salutatorian of the Class of 2017, Mr. Brian Ruel, and parents and honored guests. To begin, I want to thank every person in attendance tonight. This graduation would not be possible without the endless support of family and friends, the selfless dedication of all of the staff, and the countless hours spent by students, leaving during Eagle Hour to get Wendy's. For real, you guys got through 4 years. You deserve a 4 for 4. For those of you who I have not had the pleasure to meet, my name is Jonathan Thomas LaPointe, and I am one of the presidents of the Class of 2017. Before I continue, you may have realized that this is the first of many speeches you will hear tonight. Depending on how interesting you find it, it is entirely possible you may not hear much of it at all. If it is any comfort, I will not speak for too long. We have over 300 graduates who, I apologize, deserve to get their time on this stage, and I have no intention of taking it from them. I was a Raider through my junior year, at which point the schools combined and I became an Eagle. The renovated school brought many changes. We no longer had to eat lunch in the cafetorium with our food on our laps. We did not have to walk outside in the January breeze through a 4-foot-wide tunnel to get to class. One of the biggest improvements about the new building is that we did not have to dodge falling ceiling tiles anymore. Although many things have changed, Mr. Barnes still volunteers his time to run the annual mat ball tournament. Receiving my diploma tonight is an honor, but getting to hold the mat ball trophy with 12 of my closest friends is what I really waited 4 years for. As a freshman, I never would have dreamed that I would be on stage at graduation saying the F word to hundreds of people. Fermi needs its recognition, though. So there, I said it. I am, however, thankful that Enfield and Fermi merged to form one united class. For the students, it was a reunion with old faces that we used to see every day. It is a privilege and a pleasure to finish my high school journey with all of you that are here today. Since this is a graduation speech, I think I need to give some sort of advice. Even though I am the same age as most of my classmates and younger than the majority of the audience, perhaps there is something insightful I can share about my experience. If you will allow me to, I would like to rewind the clock 3 years ago and tell you a story. 3 years ago, my brother Chris stood on this very stage during his graduation and said something I remember very clearly. Every strikeout brings me closer to the next home run. He quoted Babe Ruth, and now I'm quoting him. Without my brother, I certainly would not be on this stage. He was a role model, much like many of your siblings, parents, or grandparents. I have had countless strikeouts in my high school career, and certainly my fair share of home runs too. If we want to look at the numbers, when I played baseball, I went 28 consecutive at-bats without a single hit. And people still ask me why I ran track senior year. Cold streaks happen in sports, school, and in life. We just need perseverance and the guidance of those close to us to give us the confidence to pick up the bat and give it another swing. However, as much as we need to draw on the Sorry, wrong word. As much as we need to draw on the strength of others, it is important to remember this. You are the only one who can make your own decisions. I have always been compared to my brother, and I have always tried to live up to standards I thought were set for me. What I failed to realize is that I am not anyone besides Jonathan Thomas LaPointe. High school is a place where expectations are higher than they have ever been for a student. With so many options for careers, service, and higher education, it can be easy to be swept up in what am I expected to do, rather than what do I want to do. As we spend this last evening together, before you go off to climb new mountains, like the rock wall at SafeGrad, remember to ask yourself, what do I want to do? Do not concern yourself with those who try to tell you that you are wrong. Live by the wise words of Mahatma Gandhi, who said, "I will not let anyone walk through my mind with their dirty feet." You know it. If there is one thing that you can remember from this speech, remember this. Refuse to let anybody tell you that you are making the wrong decision. Use your brain, but follow your heart. Thank you. At this time, I would like to bring Alessia back up to give her remarks to the class of 2017.
Friends, family, faculty, classmates, we did it. We are here. We are finally graduating. Is it exactly what you hoped for? Probably not, because it's like 1,000 degrees. Do you remember walking into high school the first day of freshman year? We weren't all together, some of us at Fermi, others at Enfield. But wherever we were, we felt small. I remember thinking I could probably fit in one of the lockers. I remember hating my third floor locker and having to carry 3 binders around because I couldn't get upstairs and back in the 4 minutes they gave us between classes. I remember weaving through the halls trying to get to class in time, dragging my giant bag behind me while dodging the giant seniors who looked ages older than me. It all seemed so strange, so new, so exciting. Yet now we're all excited to move on and leave this behind. Think back to freshman year, when we imagined graduating. It seemed so distant, like it would never come fast enough. Class of 2017, no way that would ever come. But now it's here, and it's nothing like we imagined. We didn't know we would all be together again. I never thought I would be up in front of everyone giving a speech. We never imagined we would graduate with the friends we made in JFK that we were separated from by school districts. Who knew the Enfield-Fermi rivalry could end to create one school and one senior class, united as the Eagles? When we heard we would be combining schools, none of us were too happy. We didn't want to be at a new school, feeling like freshmen all over again. We didn't want to have to wander around asking for directions to classes, and if you're stubborn like I am, you didn't ask even when you got lost. And yet, the transition was smooth. We didn't hold on to anger or resentment. We came in with open minds and wide eyes, marveling at the wonderful sunlit school. While it seems like it's been a smooth year, there have been some bumps. Combining 2 student bodies is difficult, but combining 2 complete student councils is even more difficult. Who is president? Do we have elections? Which set of rules do we follow? What do we do? As you can see, we simply combined everything. In the end, it turned out that 2 presidents are better than 1. JT and I were always able to diffuse any tensions as a team, once using Oreos. Thanks, JT, for agreeing to be co-presidents this year. I had a lot of fun, and I couldn't have done it without you, and not just because you provided the Oreos. I would like to take a moment to thank everyone who has helped me get through high school. I'd like to thank my friends for sticking with me and always making me laugh. I'll never forget everything you guys have done for me. I'd like to thank my teammates for always sticking together, through wins and losses, late nights and early mornings, and long hours on long weekends. Now I'm sure you're all wondering what sport I played, but no, it was robotics. I'd also like to thank my fellow band members for sharing something so important with me. Creating music and having a fun time doing it. I'd like to thank my family for supporting me through everything I wanted to do, whether it was robotics or band or whatever. You guys were always there. And Mom, that one time you talked me out of playing a sport, thanks for that. I'd also like to thank my teachers for inspiring me even further to continue my education and to pursue my dream of becoming a teacher. Thank you, my fellow Eagles, for giving me the opportunity to be your president for the past 2 years. Now that we are on to bigger and better things, I wish you all the best of luck. At this time, I would like to introduce the Enfield High School salutatorian of the class of 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Brian Ruel.
Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, staff, and of course, the class of 2017. Welcome to the first graduation of our combined Enfield High School. The objective of these speeches is typically to communicate very general advice that's supposed to universally help us succeed. However, individual definitions of success are often subjective, and as such, general advice is not always so useful. Furthermore, what life experience beyond high school do I have that the rest of my class doesn't? While I cannot provide any original insight or wisdom, I can make some general observations on the challenging social climate of our nation and how our generation fits into it. We are millennials. Experts have pointed out many of our strengths. They claim that we are passionate, team-oriented, diverse, and confident. However, mainstream media has generally not been so kind to us. They brand us with insulting terms like impatient, digitally obsessed, narcissistic, and lazy. However, I would argue that our biggest disadvantage is our fearfulness, which can lead to, and has led to, some extreme polarized perspectives. Remember the public service announcements, or PSAs for short, that we saw during Saturday morning cartoons? These sponsored messages, which were often targeted at children, usually contained perfectly sound words of wisdom. Captain Planet showed us the power of environmental awareness. The G.I. Joes taught us to be careful around frozen ponds and lakes. Smokey the Bear taught us that only we can prevent forest fires. However, the most famous PSAs were those that discussed more controversial topics, stirring up irrational levels of fear in the process. I would argue that the most enduring of such subjects that we saw in PSAs as children was stranger danger. While a healthy skepticism of strangers is certainly nothing to scoff at, these films convinced many children and parents to automatically assume that every stranger was going to kidnap or harm them. However, studies show that the clear majority of abductions are not even committed by complete strangers. Yet, this phobia, based on little more than fear-mongering, has been carried with us into adulthood. And who can blame us? After all, we are the first generation to be raised with instant technological communication that bombards us with unrelenting news of today's suffering. Seldom does a day go by that we are not saturated with news of terrorist attacks, public shootings, government corruption, poverty, death, or disease. So, we seek the security of the herd mentality against those who are strangers to us by firmly attaching ourselves to group identities. We obsess over which labels are used to refer to both ourselves and each other, whether those labels are Christian, Muslim, atheist, Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, transgender, feminist, or even vegan. In doing so, we have sacrificed a great deal of our individuality. After all, how truly unique is the man who can barely think of himself as anything more than the groups he belongs to? The threat of this tribal mindset dates to the birth of the United States. It was an issue that James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, and Benjamin Franklin all warned of in the Federalist Papers, many of which became the framework of our Constitution. This problem has only been further punctuated over time, as can be gleaned from virtually any controversial public debate. According to one survey, only 5% of Americans said they would have objected to their children marrying people of the opposite political party in 1975. Today, that number has risen to 40%. Americans seem to be more energized by their loathing of the opposing side than they are by their own positions. I fear that we, as millennials, are succumbing to this us versus them mentality in nearly every facet of our social lives. However, we are greater than the sum of our parts, and moreover, the sum of our group identities. If one calls himself liberal, he should never draw conclusions about another who calls himself conservative, or vice versa. After all, liberal or conservative may only be a tiny fraction of what defines either individual. Moreover, labels prompt us to associate ourselves only with those who already agree with our beliefs. When we limit ourselves by interacting only with like-minded individuals, we stagnate our intellectual development by effectively locking ourselves in an echo chamber. We must strive to be free-thinking, truly unique individuals by rising above the limits of group and identity politics. Now is the time for us to cooperate. We must extend a hand to those we foolishly call our enemies on the other side of the table, for they will cease to be foes the instant we discover that the issue is not black and white, that it is not a matter of right versus wrong. Let us not just be open-minded, but let us actively seek to establish an honest dialogue with those who disagree with us. I implore my fellow students, and anybody in my generation listening to this, let us prove to our nation that we are capable of being incredible critical thinkers. Let us utilize the passion and spirit which are so characteristic of our generation to end this schism in our great society. If mass media wants to call us impatient, then so be it. It just means that we want a solution now, that we're not afraid to come up with it ourselves. Let us stand up and lead our country in spite of our fear. No longer will our ideas be shaped by combative, charged rhetoric. When it is our turn to finally assume leadership of this divided nation, we will not allow that election to be as toxic and divisive as the one we all experienced last year. We are an extraordinary generation, but we still have to prove it to those who dare say otherwise. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of this momentous occasion, and to the class of 2017, may our minds be free and our lives be incredible. Thank you very much.
Just stand to the side. I'm going to do the citation now. Yep, right there. Brian, I would like to present you with this official citation, introduced by Representative Carol Hall, John Kissel, and Gregory Stokes. It reads, "Be it hereby known to all, the Connecticut General Assembly hereby offers its sincerest congratulations to Brian Ruel. The entire membership extends its very best wishes on this memorable occasion and expresses the hope for continued success. At this time, I invite Representatives Carol Hall and Gregory Stokes to present the certificate to the Ruel family." If you could bring us down to your family, Brian.
At this time, I would like to introduce the valedictorian of the class of 2017, who will give the valedictorian address. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Alexander Salisbury.
Hello and thank you, my fellow graduates, the parents and relatives, and the staff members who courageously dealt with us for 4 years. I would like to quickly give a personal thanks to a few people in my life. To my parents for expecting the best of me. To my peers, Brian, always there to make me think things through, and Logan, one of the few people who could coax some spirit out of me. And finally, my brother Dan, for never letting me forget who I am. That said, a moment to reflect on the past 4 years seems to be in order. 3 years spent of our lives at either Enrico Fermi High or Enfield High School, embedding ourselves in the social construct of our own design. Our 4th year was considerably more hectic. Oh, wasn't it wonderful to experience a second freshman year? We were uprooted and thrown together in a mix of new faces and old friends from middle school, surrounded by new possibilities. For most of us, we had never really expected that this is how our high school career would have ended up. But life is always unpredictable. We gather here as students with a collective sigh of relief, having made it through a studious and social jungle that is high school. Along the way, we discovered important things about ourselves, such as last-minute web searches will only work in some classes, and nothing is more motivating to stop procrastinating than realizing that paper is due today. Yes, it is true that we have made it through this stage of life. However, I find it entirely imperative that I remind the graduates here that this is not the end of anyone's journey, but a stepping stone to start living in the real world, where hopefully the food is better. After weeks of attempting to form a proper subject to address, one word finally stuck in my mind: complacence. Constantly, people fall into the trap of being completely dulled by the human experience. We mind-numbingly see the same scenery day after day, and eventually just go through the motions of life. The world seems pale and the rhythm lulls us, and somewhere along the way, we decide to give up. The childlike wonder that we all once experienced is sorely lost. Nothing seems to produce the same spark. I realize that for so many of us here, we've been stressed, anxious, depressed, lost people close to us, and found ourselves alone. It is easy to think that no one cares for you. What is hard to do is to not just settle in and give up, to do more than to just keep going forward. However, this is easier said than done. Everyone here can think of some embarrassing moment they wish to take back, and chances are a few others remember this moment as well. Many will find that they can eventually look back on these times together and laugh. Now, I'm also quite confident that we all have something we regret not having done, a missed opportunity. You are the only one who remembers this, and it is your weight alone. The what-if questions of life spring from these moments. I hope this concept stays in your mind as I continue. Aristotle once said, "It is during our darkest moments that we must focus on the light." That is to say, there have been and will always be tough times that make you question yourself. Times that you support those around you, but when you fall, it feels like no one is there to support you. Times that you just don't have the energy to put on that smile for the people around you. Personally, I believe that human life has a way of testing you, and to paraphrase one of my favorite quotes from an unknown source, life looked at me and said, "You'll be happy one day, but first, I'll make you strong." Nevertheless, some people wish for things never to change, while others grow up wishing every night in bed that they wouldn't have to deal with the same purgatory again and again as the days pass by. So please, when it all seems too much, when it seems like the world is against you, when everything is bleakest, take a few deep breaths, raise your head, and think, I am not done yet. As we continue from this point, I urge you not to become complacent. Keep fighting, find what you love in this life, and chase after it unrelentingly. The important part of not letting oneself become complacent is to not let yourself focus on the negative. It may seem like we are traversing through a hypocritical, unfair, egotistical society. Well, that is for each person here to decide for themselves and possibly change as they proceed through life. Keep your eyes on the whole picture, because in the darkness, that's what makes the star shine so bright. And as Alan Watts once said, from time to time, there arise among human beings people who seem to exude love as naturally as the sun gives off heat. Though at times it might seem desolate, there's always goodness. Keep fighting and you will find your light in the darkness, even if you must radiate it yourself. Thank you all for bearing through me with this banal speech. However, I hope to have reached at least one of you with some form of reassurance for the future.
Alex, I would like to present you and your family with this official citation introduced by Representatives Kara Hall, Gregory Stokes, and John Kissel. It reads, "Be it hereby known to all, the Connecticut General Assembly hereby offers its sincerest congratulations to Alexander Salisbury. The entire membership extends its very best wishes on this memorable occasion and expresses the hope for continued success. Once again, I invite Representatives Kara Hall and Gregory Stokes to present the certificate to the Salisbury family." Alex, if you could take this.
And now to present the class of 2017, please help me in welcoming Enfield High School Principal, Mr. Andrew Longy.
Dr. Schuman, Mr. Serrard, Mayor Copen, members of the Board of Education, members of the Town Council, Enfield High School faculty and staff, invited guests, parents, and most importantly, members of the class of 2017. Tonight, I welcome you as we join together as members of the Enfield High School family to honor our distinguished graduates. Congratulations to you, the members of the Enfield High School class of 2017. At this time, I'd like to thank the teachers and all the support staff. All of you have worked very hard to educate and support the graduates. I love the fact that you have fostered deep and lasting relationships with our students. You have truly made a difference, and I thank you. To the class of 2017, I want to thank you for the incredible undertaking you have endured these past 4 years, and most especially this past year. I am sure that it was not easy being the first combined class of Enfield High School. Being the first in anything is not always easy. This transition, especially, was not an easy task. I'm so very proud, though, of how this class handled this change. This class could have easily been bitter and upset that their last year in high school saw so much change. They easily could have complained, why did our class have to be the first to graduate as one school? Why did the schools have to merge this year, of all years? Well, I believe things happen for a reason. I firmly believe the merge happened this year with this graduating class because of the character and attitude of these students sitting before you. This group embraced this change and made the most of it. When people outside of school ask me how the students handled the merger, I tell them with confidence that it went better than I ever could have imagined. It happened because of the leadership of this class. For that, graduating class of 2017, I am forever grateful to you. My friends, I wish you only the best in the future. May you take the skills and lessons you learned at Enfield High School and apply them to your future challenges. Dr. Schuman, on behalf of the administration, faculty, and staff of Enfield High School, I proudly present to you the graduating class of 2017. They have satisfactorily completed all of their graduation requirements of Enfield High School and the Enfield Public Schools. Thank you.
Please help me to welcome our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Jeffrey Schuman. Thank you, Dr. Schuman.
Thank you, Mr. Longy. Good evening. It's an honor to be part of the graduation exercises for the class of 2017. Now that the sun's gone down a little bit, we can see all of you, and you look great. We thank you very much for coming together to celebrate with us tonight. So if the technology stays with me, I'm going to take a short walk through our graduates, hopefully maintain communication with all of you. See, our graduates followed a very prescriptive path to get here. Most of them began in kindergarten, 4 or 5 or 6, came through many years of school, survive here tonight. Although this was a tricky path, they made it. One of them, thousands had to make uncountable amounts of data they had to. They said it might not. How's that? Is that better? Okay. I think I'm going to, well, we'll see if we can make this work. I told you the technology was going to be a challenge. So we come tonight to celebrate their accomplishments and their meeting a certain phase in their life, the phase where they will leave our schooling and they'll go out in their own different ways and experience life on their journey to wherever it takes them. I saw Adam leave the garden with an apple in his hand. I said, now you're out, what are you going to do? Plant some crops or pray for rain, maybe raise a little cane. I'm an orphan now and I'm just passing through. Passing through, passing through. Sometimes happy, sometimes blue. Glad that I ran into you. I'll tell the people that I saw you passing through. I saw Jesus on a cross on that hill called Calvary. Do you hate mankind for what they've done to you? He said, talk of love, not hate, because it's getting mighty late. I've so little time and I'm just passing through. Passing through, passing through. Sometimes happy, sometimes blue. Glad that I ran into you. I'll tell the people that I saw you passing through. I shivered next to Washington one night at Valley Forge. Why do the men freeze here like they do? Men will suffer, freeze, and fight, even die for what is right, even though they know they're only passing through. Passing through, passing through. Sometimes happy, sometimes blue. Glad that I ran into you. I'll tell the people that I saw you passing through. All of us here tonight are somewhere on the continuum of life's journey. We have the younger siblings of our graduates, and they can't quite figure out what to make of all of this. They see their older brothers and sisters up here in gowns. On a place they assimilate more with athletics than academics, but they know this is something special. And we have our older siblings, our older brothers and sisters, and they know very well what this short walk across the stage means, and the opportunities and the challenges that begin when you get to the other side. And we have parents. Some parents have their first child up here graduating from high school. And they're wondering, how did our little baby get to become a high school graduate? Where did the time go? And we have some parents who have their final child graduating from high school. And they're thinking a little bit about all they've done to get all their children through high school, but they're also thinking about being empty nesters. And I can tell you, I was an empty nester for a short period. It was great. But adult children are really cool. You're going to enjoy them because they're going to come back. And we have grandparents. And our grandparents are wondering, how did our baby's baby get to be a high school graduate? And we think about all the things that our grandparents have seen. Maybe some saw the 40s or the 50s. They all experienced, they may not remember the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. And all the things that seemed impossible when they were in high school have all of a sudden become reality. And our faculty understands passing through perhaps more than anybody else, because each September they start brand new with a new crop of students eager to become adults, eager to move on past high school. And they see the world in a very special way. They see the world through the eyes of the learner. They look at every opportunity as something they can use to engage our children in learning and enhance their understanding of the world. Because they know that the foundation for a successful life is a good education. I rode with old Abe Lincoln on a train from Gettysburg. I said, "What are you going to do?" He said, "All men must be unconditionally free, or there is no reason to be passing through, passing through, passing through. Sometimes happy, sometimes blue, glad that I ran into you. I'll tell the people that I saw you passing through." 'Twas at Franklin Roosevelt's side just a while before he died. He said, "One world must come out of World War II. Yankee, Russian, white or tan, Lord, a man is just a man. We're all brothers and we're only passing through. Passing through, passing through. Sometimes happy, sometimes blue, glad that I ran into you. I'll tell the people that I saw you passing through." Gandhi spoke of freedom one night. I said, "Man, we got to fight." He said, "Yes, but love's the weapon we should use. For with killing no one wins. It's with love that peace begins. It takes courage when you're only passing through. Passing through, passing through. Sometimes happy, sometimes blue, glad that I ran into you. I'll tell the people that I saw you passing through." So it's here that you will stand, your diploma soon in hand, a testament of what you've learned to do. Now, my friends, it's up to you. Go on out and start anew and make the most of your time passing through. And graduates, when you get to the top of those stairs, stand tall and walk slowly and proudly and deliberately across this stage, because this short walk symbolizes your passing from one phase of your life to an exciting and challenging and even more important next phase. Passing through, passing through. Sometimes happy, sometimes blue, glad that I ran into you. I'll tell the people that I saw you passing through. Chairman Sherrard, members of the Enfield Board of Education, it is my honor to certify that the members of the class of 2017 gathered here with us tonight have met, and in most cases exceeded, the requirements for graduation set forth by the Connecticut State Board of Education and the Enfield Board of Education. And therefore, at this time, I recommend the awarding of diplomas.
And now for the presentation of the diplomas, please help me welcome the chairman of the Enfield Board of Education, Mr. Thomas Sherrard.
Well, that's a pretty tough act to follow. On my way, I had a prepared speech, and then last night I decided I'd do something a little different. You can do that when you're the chairman sometimes. To the graduating class of 2017, congratulations, you made it. Today we're here to celebrate you reaching a milestone, the closing sentences of the easiest chapters of the story of your lives. When you get to be old like me, and trust me, I'm getting pretty old, you're going to realize that this, in fact, was the easiest time of your life. I didn't say it was the best. I didn't say it was without challenge, just easiest. Nowhere again will so many people dedicate so many resources for such a long period of time to your well-being, just for the potential of your success. Remember, a lot of people helped you write those opening chapters from this point to today. From this point forward, the pen is in your hand. The rest of the story is largely dependent upon you. Speaking of stories, we're also here to celebrate a milestone for the town and the first time all of you will make history. You are the first graduating class of the newly reunified Enfield High School. Where we once had Raiders and Falcons, we now have Eagles. And you have all defined what Enfield Eagle means. And trust me when I say, you leave some pretty big shoes to fill. During your tenure with us, you have all faced the challenges of change. And because of who you are, you've done so brilliantly. I want to personally thank all of you for helping your parents through these changes. Those of us who created the changes always banked on your resilience and resourcefulness, and you've lived up to those expectations with flying colors, and I am incredibly proud of you and admire you for it. For every graduating class that I have had the privilege to address, I have had tried to impart some wisdom, some lessons that I have learned in life that your teachers didn't teach you in school. I do it to give you a head start and to point you in a direction, in a positive direction. And it's the last ounce of protection that I can give you before kicking you out of the nest and feeding you to the hungry wolves below. Now, you won't hear any spinning marbles or thousand points of light, just the truth. As I've said at every graduating class since being chairman, from this point forward, put 1/3 of everything that you earn into a savings account and don't spend it. Nothing worthwhile is ever easy, and trying to find the easy way out is where most people make their biggest mistakes. Remember, the Donner Party took a shortcut. It's not the level of the education that you have earned or your alma mater that determines your worth. It's what you do with that education or how you apply that education that does. And the School of Hard Knocks is one of the most reputable institutions of higher learning on the planet. Don't be afraid to take risks and be strong enough to admit when you're wrong. The older you get, the more right your parents become. Know the difference between opinion and fact, want and need. And just because everybody believes something doesn't necessarily make it true. Everybody thinks they deserve more than they actually have. And everyone thinks that they all think the same way as everybody else does. And everyone is usually wrong on both occasions. Respect hard work and those who work hard. Hard work is the only way to overcome bad luck, achieve real success, and earn a justifiable self-esteem. Be the best that you can do in everything. There is no such thing as good enough, even in government work. Integrity is everything. Don't make promises you can't keep, write checks you can't cash, or expect others to pay for the things you didn't earn. Be a good listener. It's how the best answers are found. And given a choice between respect and love, choose both, but choose respect first. Even your enemies can have respect for you. And love without respect isn't real love. Lastly, there's good and evil in everyone, and that's a personal struggle. There's no magic bean, there's no new rule, there's no new law that can make all the bad stuff go away. Looking for one is looking for a shortcut, and we all know how I feel about shortcuts. As I said before, be the author of your story. The story should be about who you are, not what you are. Remember that the adjectives describe the nouns, and that the adjectives that really matter have very little to do with things that are out of your control. As you continue with your journeys, be kind, be brave, be heroic in your choices, be huge, and you will have a happy, successful life. God bless you all. As chairman of the Board of Education, I confirm that the class of 2017 has satisfactorily completed all graduation requirements for Enfield High School and the Enfield Public School System. On behalf of the Board of Education, I congratulate all of you on your accomplishments and wish you the very best and brightest of futures. At this time, I would like to call upon Assistant Principal Aaron Clark, Assistant Principal Connell Clark, and the 12th grade Dean of Students, John Coleman, to come forward and read the names as we present the diplomas.
Yeah, you can move down in front of the table. Yeah, Tom, you can move right down to the front of the table.
Alexander James Salisbury. Brian Matthew Ruel. Mohammed Adan. Nate Alisea. Ashley Abena Mome Pokua Amwabang. Jacqueline Juanita Antunes. Peter Brian Ivan Arriaga. Jacob Daniel Audette. Chandler Raymond Avery. Ume Farwa Awan. Kaylee Nicole Baez. Kayla Marie Baez. Mark David Bailey. Jenny Renee Belargin. Sarah Michelle Belargin. Emily Rose Baker. Camille Aurelia Balicki. Riley Joseph Bouchain. Alexander Stephen Bodewin. Sawyer D. Beck. Ethan Ross Begnash. Samantha Diane Bertrand. Kayla Jasmine Barabee. Ryan John Bilabreski. Anthony Frank Bigda. Rhiannon Rose Bijou. Angelique Jean Bizier. Jake Arturo Bonavita. Abigail Sarah Bosco. Jean Michael Bouthiet. Hannah Olivia Bowen. McKenna Marie Bauer. Megan Kelly Brennan. Kyle Van Brent.
Kevin Anthony Breton. Dylan Matthew Bridge. Rachel Ann Briggs. Layden Sean Brousseau. Corey Lamont Brown Jr. Dylan Ray Brown. Kumar Brendan Brown. Adam Paul Brunetti. Matthew Ryan Bungard. Joshua Lawrence Bouvelat. Megan Marie Callender. Elena Marie Caratini. Brett Joseph Karen. Sarah Cecile Carroll. Beth Margene Castle. Brett William Castle. Matthew Mark Kavanaugh. Sierra Amina Centrella. Taylor Love Chadbourne. Caitlin Elizabeth Chappell. Monica Cherubin. Jordan Lynn Chase. Javier Chavez Barcenas. Hannah Elizabeth Chase. Kyle Michael Chester. Caitlin Ann Ciccarella. John Dominic Simino. Hope Brianna Clark. Ethan Lawrence Clark. Janelle Renee Colbert. Gabrielle Concepcion. Stephen Benjamin Conlon. Brooke Ann Conroy. Wraith Jeffrey Cook. Brandon Michael Coolbaugh. Samantha Jane Corriveau. Jameson Zarkenbeck Cody. Leah Marie Cothran. Taya Reno Corshane. Tyler David Coey. Nicholas William Kritz. Abby Celine Kudabek. Nicholas James Culver. Brandon Michael D'Angelo. Travis Lascelles Herbert Daly. Kyle Richard Dancero. Marie Eleanor Davies. Taylor Morgan Dialba. Deidre Jane Dearborn. Colin Patrick DeBarber. Jocelyn Elise DeGray. Jordan Keith DeMaine. Brianna Nicole Dennehy. Dylan Benedito de Souza. Curtis Michael DiBattista. Mia Alice DiBattista. Jason Robert Dibiaz. Jasmine Dillahay. Mackenzie Lynn Dillon. Amanda Milagros Diodene. Megan Rose DeSalvo. David Allen Dodson Jr. Connor William Doherty. Megan Marie Doherty. Janelle Renee Douglas. Paige Lynn Dowding. Blakesley Todd Drunowski. Legacy Nicole Dupere. Caitlin Elizabeth DuPont. Ashley Marie Egley. Cheyenne Lucille Ellis. Carly Jean Evans. Jeffrey Lawrence Falk. Charlie Farina. Chad Matthew Fenoff. Mitch Rucker Ferguson. Jake Thomas Ferrado. William Richard Ferris. Mark Allen Cushman Finnegan. Samantha Hazel Flynn. Matthew James Francis. Tyler Scott Francoeur. Ariana Corinne Garcia. Julie Marie Gifford. Nora Anna Elizabeth Gillen. Kayla Louise Gilbert. Kayla Marie Gilbert. Karen Stevie-Ann Graham. Caitlin Patricia Gray. Devin Andrew Greco. Ebony Green. Jemiah Nichelle Greer. Megan Leanne Griffin.
Ashley Ann Halleck. David William Hamilton. James Richard Hanna. Thomas Michael Hassan. Kim Ann Hecken. Tariq Ephraim Hester. Kyle Michael Hill. Alexis Elizabeth Hone. Nicholas Christopher Hone. Daniel Elijah Harmon. Layla Nicole Holmes. Masia Sincere Holmes. Tashana Allison Holness. Bradley Austin James Hornung. Brandon Richard Hosig. Dexter James Hurlbert. Jordan Elaine Isabel. Azar Sammy Isa. Cheyenne Lene Jackson. Lindsay Marie Jansen. Alex Timothy Jensen. Wilhelm Alexander Jorg. Samantha Faye Johnson. Brandon Michael Jones. Ali Imad Kafel. Curtis Paul Callagher. Kylie Marissa Kaufman. Chase Coolidge Copen. Brianna Marie Keenan. Michael James Kennedy Jr. Jeffrey Daniel Kilty. Stephen Patrick Kilty. Kiara Ebony Kinder. Sydney Madison Kinney. Tyler Ellis Klein. Jenna Kaloje. Jordan Xavier Kopaz. Grace Cruzel. Stephanie Ann Kula. Catherine Kusta. Austin Lake. Olivia Jean La Liberty. Ellen Teresa Lambert. Isaac Brendan Lampkins. Ethan James Lang. Hunter Devin Lanson. Jonathan Thomas Lapointe. Abigail Caitlin Laporta. Megan Regina Lapanese. Salvatore Giovanni Lastrina. Regina Mary LeBlanc. Philip Mark LaCours. Marissa Jasmine Lee. Melissa Brittany Lee. Miranda Munlai Lee. Danielle Patrice Leonardo. Travis LaValle. Cassandra Marie LaCory. Trent Henry Logan. Cassidy Lopez. Erica Lynn Lovering. Nathiska Marie Lulanda. Dominic Thomas Massini. Nina Mae MacDonald. Zachary Joseph Magyar. Jessica Emily Mayer. Emily Ann Malcolm. Megan Tyler Maloney. Alessia Jean Manzi. Monique Keo Marcano. McKenna Ashley Marcotte. Malik James Matthews. Joshua Angel Masonette. Michael Vincent Mazza. Alan Jermaine McDonald. Michael Angelo Mealy. David Michael Mercier. Jack Robert Mersick. Jessica Lynn Merluzzi. Andrew James Misick. Carolyn Rose Messenger. Rose Adrian Michaud. Taylor Marie Miner. Talasia Yolanda Mitchell. Taylor Ray Molina. Aaliyah Brittany Morgan. Jatem Sharon Anne Marie Rose Morris. Haley Sue Munson. Kylie Nicole Murphy. Melissa Rose Murray. Susan Marie Murray. Emily Catherine Musamechi.
Daniel Joseph Neal. Megan Elizabeth Nguyen. Trevor G. Nguyen. Brianne Marie Naroda. Rihanna Catherine Naroda. Matthew Joseph Nogus. Skylar Nicolene Norman. Taylor Lynn O'Connell. Taylor Diane Oates. Hannah Shahada Abdallah. Amber Marie Olari. Christian Michael Osada. Kayla Cassandra Otero. Jalen Mackay Marquise Paget. Arity Panatis. Kyle Scott Paradis. Ariel Marie Paradise. Joseph Cyprian Partridge. Jillian Mary Travis Partika. Anthony Michael Pasquarelli. Sean Lewis Pelletier. Nicholas Howard Peltier. Aries Valentinus Peralta. Christine Carol Perdomo. Mary Kate Lauren Pestana. Catherine Mary Phillips. Catherine Rose Picos. Stefania Michelle Pirag. Stephanie Plaza Perez. Taylor Ann Paletti. Angelina Marie Porcello. Emily Grace Porcello. Lillian Teresa Post. Sarah Ashley Przinski. Samuel Brett Quinn. Ryan John Razowitz. Justin Daniel Rankin. Lubna Ruff. Taylor Rose Reedy. Morgan Emily Remington. Monisha Tykenia Reynolds. Stephen John Rinaldi. Alicia Catherine Robbins. Hunter Sterling Roberts. Dallas Michael Robinson. Pablo Rocha Nunez. JC Claire Rodriguez. Giovanni Rafael Rodriguez. Christopher Brian Joseph Ross Jr. Grace Elizabeth Roy. Jessica Ashley Sackett. Brandon Wingston Salcedo. Michaela Janai Samuels. Elizabeth Zofia Santi. Nathan Paul Savage. Amanda Lisa Chazelle. James Scoville. Rachel Marie Seidel. Vincent Guido Self. Shannon Adele Sheehan. Jack Stephen Sherman. Noah Adam Sherman. Parker Jamil Simpson. Nolan Alex William Skehan. Alexandra Nicole Smith. Austin Toby Smith. Allison Catherine Ann Smolinski. Amber Beth Sosnicki. Connor St. George DeGray. Cassandra Rose Stacy. Trenton William Stanhope. Jeremy Paul Stefanik. Nathan David Steppen. April Jean Stone. Madison Lynn Stone. Jake Michael Sullivan. Elijah Kwame Swanson Asiem. Nathaniel Tyrese Swift. Nicholas Ryan Sylvester. Devin James Sedgwill. Alexis Yoneko Topier. Nathaniel Allen Terra. Paige Ellen Tetro. Alex Roland Theriault. Melody Grace Therian. Andrew J. Thibodeau. Catherine Elizabeth Thomas. Samantha Hope Thomas. Melissa Ann Tingley. Zachary Charles Tomalonis. Nicola Danielle Travali. Logan Todd Trowbridge. Daniela Yvette Troya. Anthony Michael Tullock. Michael Ryan Tweedley. Noah Mark Vayu. Brandon Gabriel Vendetti. Michaela Ann Vieira. Melanie Lisette Villasis. Spencer Thomas Walker. Veronica Marie Walker. Christopher Gregory Wayne. Trajan Demetrius White. Leah Corinne Willie. Rebecca and Abby Willoughby. Anthony Peter Wondolowski. Neil Brian Woodward Jr. Colin Robert Wright. Emily Gochi Yang. Joshua William Yetzko. Damian Zaharis. Sarah Lynn Zimoftis.
Okay. Jim? Yeah. My tassel is bugging right now. Graduates, please make sure that your tassel is placed on the right side of your cap. At this time, please move your tassel from the right side of your cap to your left side. If I could do it. Ladies and gentlemen, as our last official act as class presidents, may we present you the graduated class of 2017.
Thank you to all our guests for sharing our commencement. Have a great night.